Hey everyone, it's Nicole. I'm just going to check and make sure I'm live for you all. I hope you're having a great Wednesday morning so far. I'm really excited because today we are covering in this weekly workshop how to overcome sales objections. I know that this comes up for everyone in business, right? Especially if you're doing something where you're selling a service, and particularly I'm talking about it in terms of consults and sales calls, right? But truthfully, honestly, even if someone's emailing you and asking questions or something like that, some of these objections may still come up. So, it really is important to make sure that you have a confident way you feel confident addressing them, okay? So we are gonna cover the top sales objections. And you guys, these are objections that I cover, that come up for me as well. And they've come up for me in terms of they've come up for me both in business coaching, and they came up for me as well when I was a therapist and when I just did more general like life coaching. I focused on stress management, right? So I really hit these from every angle of business, of different types of businesses, either B2C, business to consumer, or business to business. And these also come up for my clients as well. So please keep in mind, these are super common. You're not doing anything wrong if these are the objections that come up for you, that you're hearing, but we do need you to be more confident in overcoming them. So really quick, let me just remind you guys who I am, right? And I am Nicole Loya. I am a business strategist who works with service providers to help them go online, to help them create more income, create consistent income, and to help them eventually scale their businesses with multiple income streams so they don't have to work so hard. And you guys, whether you have these objections for your services and are identifying them and going through them on sales calls, or if you have programs that you're selling primarily through, sales pages, you still have to address your top objections. And it's really important that you know for your ideal clients what the major objections are. So I like to start off by just sharing a fun fact about me. And right now this fun fact, although I don't think it's that fun, is that I stayed up way too late last night binging Glow on Netflix, right? I just couldn't stop watching it. Sometimes I avoid starting new seasons of stuff because I know that happens to me. And last night I was up way too late watching Glow. But, that's what I love about business is I love that you can just, you make your own schedule. So I don't have to leave the house in the morning. All right, you guys. So once again, if you're not sure if you're on the weekly workshop series email list so you can get access to these, make sure you sign up at NicoleLoya.com/workshop. If you're on, say hello. If you're watching the replay, say replay, okay? I think it is, it's so important to just say hi, acknowledge that you're here, and really ask any questions that you have at any time. I come back and check the replay questions and comments as well. So you're in the right place if you are scared to have sales calls because you're afraid you're going to hear no. You're afraid, you're uncomfortable with that rejection. You're uncomfortable with what it means, or you just don't feel confident on the sales calls. You're not sure what you should say, what you should do, anything like that. You're also in the right place if you know that you're losing out on potential clients because you struggle to overcome their reasons for saying no to working with you, right? You're not confident about this. You don't know what to say. You just don't want to deal with it. And, what we're talking about today is sales calls, consults, discovery calls, breakthrough sessions, strategy sessions, and more, right? There's different names for all of these. But essentially, they all boil down to being a sales call, right? An opportunity for you to help your clients solve their problems and struggles, whatever it is, whether it's, their struggles with eating, their struggles with managing their energy, their struggles with business, their struggles with confidence, their struggles with their relationships, their struggles with their kids, right? Whatever your service is, their struggles with their copy, their struggles with their website design, whatever your service is, you are most likely going to be selling it on a call at some point, right? These are an important, unavoidable part of any service-based business. So we're going to cover what you really need to do, right, to make sure you're able to sign on clients during these calls without being salesy, scammy, or pushy. A lot of times when people throw up objections, we don't dive deep into them because we're afraid to do it. We don't want to be salesy. We want easy yeses. And, by knowing what the objections are, you're able to kind of overcome these earlier in your sales calls through information, which is good. But also, I'm not going to teach you any salesy ways. I'm not going to talk about how you can, I know some people teach, like, have a conversation with the potential client about what they can do to get money to pay for your services. I don't actually do that. I still have huge success. I've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars in phone calls and phone consults, right? I've sold group programs. I've sold one-to-one services. I've even had to hop on calls about courses or products sometimes. So I just think it's really important to know you don't have to be salesy. You don't have to be scamming. You don't have to be pushy. But I do recommend being direct and honest with your potential clients when you're walking them through their objections, right? I've had many people say that's what they appreciate about me. They know I'm not going to push them. Okay, so these are the top objections we're going to be covering, right? I need to think about it. I know I need to think about it. It doesn't sound like an objection, but it basically is if they're not giving you a yes on the call, right? I have to talk to my partner. I don't have enough time. I'm too busy, right? I can't afford it. I don't have the money right now. That's the number one objection. And that's the one that overwhelms people the most. Truthfully, the one that used to overwhelm me a lot, right? Because I kind of expected the affordability one. The one that I did not feel confident handling for a while was I have to talk to my partner. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that when we cover that one. This is not about making people, I just want to really qualify this. This isn't about selling anyone into your service and getting yeses on all your calls, right? You do want to be screening people. You do want to be making sure they're a good fit for your service, hopefully with, some sort of questionnaire that helps you figure out, how you can help them with that, right? That you can actually help them solve their problems, that it's a good fit. For example, if you're someone who works with couples to help them have, better relationships, but you don't deal with infidelity, and they say on the initial consult, like, this is to overcome infidelity and cheating, then that's not a good fit for you, right? Like, that's not a great call for you to be getting on. That's going to be a waste of their time. That's going to be a waste of your time. Maybe have a recommendation for someone else, right? If they're not, and if you're on a call with them and you realize then they are not the right fit for your program, your services, your process, right? Then let them go, right? I know that's easier said than done, but you really do need to let them go, right? I know it can be uncomfortable, but you shouldn't force anyone to, not even force, you shouldn't be taking in people that you can't help. Even if, sometimes we do feel at certain stages we really need money or we really want money, right? So I just wanted to qualify that. But now I want to go through the reasons people say no, right? Like, these are the reasons that those objections come up, right? And I think this is important to know. And if you yourself have ever been on a sales call and not signed up because of one of these reasons, like, let us know, right? And one of the top reasons, and I see more people are on now, so say, hey, introduce yourself and your business in the comments below. but one of the reasons that people don't sign up is they don't believe you and your service can help them, because you've been unclear and haven't covered how it will solve their problems and get them the results that they want, right? And this is really common when you aren't specific in your services, when you're not even clear how you help people, when you're uncertain if you can get people, you can help people solve the problems that they're currently struggling with or work through those problems, right? And you haven't specified that, when people are like uncertain, you know, what's really going to happen. Now, this isn't them being uncertain about your process. I want to specify. I think a lot of people really get stuck on the how, right? And what people really want to know is like what's going to be different at the end. Do you really understand their problems? Do you understand their struggles? And do you understand why they need to change this? Like what will be better in their lives or businesses or families or work or whatever if you work through this with them, right? So it is really important that you're clear on your services, you're clear on your value and worth, and that you are clear, you've covered how your program, how your services, whatever it is, right, will solve their problems and get them the results they want. This is the second thing, right? They're not committed to changing things. Maybe they're just dipping their toes in the waters of change, right? Maybe they are stuck in their comfort zone, and maybe they just really do not want to change it, right? They are scared, they are uncomfortable, and they are really, really not willing to make the changes, right? Change is scary. And even though sometimes we're unhappy or we're not where we want to be, we're still comfortable. It's what we know. So, you know, once again, if this is where a lot of times I'm going to think about it comes in, you know, and that reason. So once again, you know, this is a big one. Hey, Miki, so glad you're here. Yes, I'm sure, you know, that's common for you. It's common for so many people. This is the third reason people don't invest, right? They're worried they're going to fail, and they're worried they can't change. They don't believe in themselves, right? A lot of times we do confuse this with making it about us, right? And that's why it's so important when you're on calls to be listening to the other person, to not be talking so much, to really identify, you know, what are their fears about this? What are their worries? Where do they not feel confident? This is also the other reason that they need your support. They need your services. I know that sounds crazy, but you know, when they don't believe in themselves, it's really hard for them to make changes on their own. They keep waiting around for things to just happen, things to just change. You know, and this is really common, I think, with a lot of my potential clients, because they want bigger businesses and they're worried they're not capable of having it. They're worried that they're going to invest time and money into making these changes, and that they're not going to be where they want. Their business is not going to be where they want it to be, you know? So, you know, I think that's a huge thing, you know, which is connected a lot of times to the investment. Why are they going to make that investment? Why are they going to pay for something if they are worried it's not going to, if they don't actually believe it's going to help them change it? Okay, this is the other one. They don't trust you yet, right? They don't know you well. They don't like you 100% yet. They don't trust you, right? Maybe they signed up for a freebie and booked a call. Maybe they haven't been in your audience that long. And I think that's important to remember. I used to believe that people would only have to sign up with me after 6 months or a year. And I would only, you know, if I really went in with into calls for new people with the belief that they weren't going to even sign on because they weren't ready yet, right? And the truth is that that's not true. People are often ready to sign on earlier in the process because their problem is bigger right now. You know, that is why. You know, that is why they are reaching out, they are making that call. But you do need to show trust. You can do that with case studies. You can do that with really identifying their struggles, really showing them that you're listening to them, you know, and that kind of thing. So, you know, if this is something you've struggled with, you know, let me know. Let us know. Now we're going to cover how to overcome those top objections that we talked about before, right? And here they are again, right? I need to think about it. I have to talk to my partner. I don't have enough time. I'm too busy and I can't afford it and I don't have the money right now. And number 4 is really like the most common objection that people struggle with and shut down on. And it's oftentimes really not about the money, right? And I know some of you might be out there being like, but I really haven't had the money. And I've been in that same place too. The first time I made a big investment in my business, I think it was about $3,500. And I did not have the money. Like I was just kind of getting my income back on track after being out of, I would say after I had taken time off to travel and volunteer, and that went through a ton of my savings. And then when I finally started working again and, I was piecing different jobs together, it took me a while to get on track, and I didn't have huge savings. And honestly, later on, I had even less savings, to be quite honest, because I actually, took time off again. I had left my part-time job. At that time, I still had jobs when I first started investing. But later on, I had no jobs and I really was frozen at a certain point. And that's when I needed the help the most. And that's when I had the least amount of money for it. And I still invested, right? I still put that out there. So if you're on or watching the replay, let me know which of these objections scares you the most. Which one do you feel the least confident about diving into? Like I said, number 2 was a huge one for me at a certain point in time. So let's cover number 1. I need to think about it. Once again, people are putting this objection out there a lot of times when they are not really sure that you can help them, right? So if they say that, you need to really get clear, like what other questions do you have? What's holding you back from investing now, or what's holding you back from saying yes? What do you feel like you still need to think about? What have I left unclear for you? This takes a little bit of talking to your ego a bit and not thinking like, hey, I can help everyone, right? Like, yes, maybe you can help tons of people. We can't help everyone, but you need to see why this person is still thinking about it. Now, here's the deal. This is where I see people lose thousands of dollars, because this happens over and over again when people say they need to think about it. Or, you're making the assumption that they're going to come back to you, right? And a lot of times maybe you're making the assumption that they're a no, and you just let it go because you don't want to hear that official no. And you can hold on to like, I need to think about it. Maybe it's a yes, right? Maybe you think it's a yes, and maybe you really think they will just come back. And you end up not supporting them for that reason. I think a lot of times too, this is where where your fear of being salesy, of being scammy, of being pushy comes into play, right? And it's because, you don't want to put any pressure on them. But this isn't about that. This is about really getting clear on, giving them a follow-up process. Also, you're going to get busier as time goes on. You need to follow up. You need to know you can't have these open people hanging out there, sucking your energy, you thinking they're going to be a client when you haven't really gotten them to that point. The other thing is, one of my early business coaches taught me, you really want to leave the call with a yes or a no. Now, listen, I can be one of those people, actually. I hate to say yes straight on the call. Even when I've researched the person, a lot of times when I'm getting on the call, I'm definitely interested, but I'm not really 100% sold. So I am someone who doesn't like to say yes on that first call. I like to say, I'm going to think about it or whatever, even though I'm secretly a yes. And a lot of times people have lost me because they didn't follow up with me. They just let me go, right? And then I felt not cared for by people that I was going to spend thousands of dollars on. So you need to have a follow-up process in place. If you can't get to the yes or the no, you need to have a follow-up process in place. Schedule a follow-up call immediately. Schedule it right there on that call, right? Don't go and be like, I'm going to send you a link to schedule a follow-up call. Really try to set it up within 48 hours, because here's the deal. You're not doing people a service when you like they booked the consult, right? They booked the call and consult. So they were saying they are interested on a certain level. They want your services. They are wanting to solve this problem. So if you're letting them go off on their own, and not really giving them a date or time to get back to you, then you're giving them the opportunity to really stress themselves out, to really overthink things, to really just, step back. And I'm going to be honest, you guys, a lot of times people end up signing on with someone else because you didn't do a good job of taking care of them, right? So set up a follow-up call, provide them with the info for your services. At this point, you've already covered it, right? Like I have people who try to get out of this by being like, hey, just send over the info. Like they don't want to actually hear it on the call. They're not comfortable. That's, once again, you need to go through the info. You need to make sure they are understanding things. This is your responsibility. They've requested your time. They're taking up your time. They can give you the courtesy of listening through everything. Don't leave them on their own to figure it out and read a PDF or a sales page or an email with the info, right? Now, I want to know for you guys are on, if you hear this, right, if you don't get a yes or no, do you set up a follow-up process or do you just kind of leave them on their own? If you're not clear, if it's not like a yes in hey, okay, I'm going to send over the invoice, make your payment in 24 hours. I give a deadline for the payment. Once again, because otherwise people just go and drift. And I've done it myself. So I've done it as a consumer, as a buyer, right? As a potential buyer. So, once again, I don't feel I'm being pushed when people follow up with me or give me deadlines. I need to respect that they have to fill spots if I don't take one. So once again, give them the info. Don't let the process drag on. That causes your potential clients to not feel cared for, to, once again, this isn't harassing them every day, but it's hey, giving them that safe structure, that safe space of when you can follow up with them. And not giving them the opportunity to spiral into worry. They had to do some sort of work, mental work, to get to the place where they were booking the call to begin with. Okay. Number 2, I have to talk to my partner. Who has experienced number 2? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, if you're popping on during the replay, say replay. This is, once again, really important, right? Because a lot of times they are using their partner to make the decision for them. And I'm going to tell you guys, the reason that this one over used to stress me out a lot is because I have been single, not married, right? Not sharing finances with my partner, with a partner for a lot of my business, right? So that meant that I didn't really know, I did not feel comfortable addressing that, right? Because the other thing that concerned me about that was I'm not working with their partner. I'm working with them. And I want to know, that they are committed to making the changes in their lives. Now, of course, if this is couples therapy or something, couples counseling, couples coaching, whatever, it's a little bit different. But, when I was working as, a therapist, as a general life coach, as a business coach, I needed to know that my potential client was committed to working with me and wasn't going to be bringing their partner into their business, right? And if they're obviously if their partner's a business partner, that's different too. But my clients tend to be solopreneurs, right? And I need to know where they are in their decision process. And I used to skip this part. I used to be like, okay, you're going to talk to your partner. Let's set up a follow-up call. And a lot of times they would cancel. And it was because I didn't have their buy-in yet. I didn't find out if they wanted the service, right? And I was also uncomfortable with that piece because I felt like I was butting into their relationship or telling them what to do. And the truth is that I actually did a more in-depth conversation about this with a relationship, a couples therapist, a very highly trained couples therapist who's done coaching as well. So she's gone through this process. And if you want the link to that training, just drop a comment below, say I want the relationship video and I will link it to you. There's no opt-in or anything needed for that. But you need to know, like, are they a yes? So what I started doing, which this relationship expert suggested to me, was just asking, where are you in this process, right? How do you feel about working together? And I explained to the person, the reason I'm asking this is because we're going to be doing the work together. So I want to know where you're at with things. I want to make sure that, you know, I've answered your questions. And a lot of times they started saying, yes, I'm good with it. And then, you know, a couple hours later, I would get the payment. Before, when I didn't ask that, when I didn't, you know, make them take responsibility for their decision. And listen, you guys, like, truthfully, your partner is not getting your permission for their work decisions, right? They're making decisions all day at work, and your partner is not getting your permission. Now, I know you might say, well, it's a money thing or whatever, you know, and I think that, you know, depending where your business is at, you need to be making the decisions of what you need for your business to take it to the next level. You need to make sure your partner's stuff, you know, a lot of times there's anxiety, fear that you're going to outgrow your partner. A ton of my clients actually do start out earning their partner within just a few months. You know, so you really do need to make that decision for you. Your potential clients need to make that decisions for themselves, right? And other things too, like, you know, even when it comes to health choices, maybe you're worried, like if you're, you know, a dietitian and a health coach, maybe your partner, you know, your potential client needs to make the decision to change their health on their own, right? They can't rely on their partner to make that decision for them, or their partner to decide to change. They have to be willing to do it, whether their partner is not, if the problem is that intense, right? And they want those results. So once again, make sure they're already like good and ready to go. And, you know, if it is a money issue, obviously they're using joint money or something like that, of course it makes sense that they would ask. You know, it also is good if they, you know, they could be addressed. Hopefully they addressed it already before they made the call, but a lot of people don't, right? So, you know, it's also good to say though, like, what are your partner's questions and objections going to be? You know, do you think they're going to have any questions? If so, you know, please feel free to email me, like, you know, address the partner's objections on the call so that your potential client is ready to address those as well, right? And then just the same thing, like, make sure there's a deadline, a follow-up process. The third one, also, actually, this is super, super common with my potential clients, right? Because a lot of times with my clients, you know, they are busy and they're not productive and they're working on the wrong things in their business. But, you know, we feel that busy is a good thing. It's a sign of success. And it's not a lot of times, right? It doesn't mean your business is doing well. It doesn't mean your life is going well. It doesn't mean you're happy with your career, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, your health is good. So, you know, when they say, I don't have enough time, like, you know, maybe it's like, I don't have enough time for exercise. I don't have enough time to watch what I eat. I don't have enough time to spend more time with my partner or my family. You know, once again, this is really like, you have to make sure that they believe the problem will change. And it's also important to think about, how much time are they wasting with the struggle? How long has this been going on? How long have they been unhappy? How long have they been losing money because of this, right? You know, and this is a lot of times because they're not committed to changing the problem right now. They might be scared to take things to the next level, right? They might be scared that, you know, they're to make this commitment and then not to get results, or like maybe they're scared they're going to be busier, things are going to get even worse or whatever, you know. So really make sure you're diving deep into that. What is that time thing about? And are they losing a lot of money by still struggling with the problem, and how much time are they losing? Like I said, a lot of my clients, they're not productive on the right things. We do some time tracking. A lot of times they're spending time on the wrong things. They're not spending time on money making tasks. So this is a huge one for my potential clients. Now the big one, right? Who has dealt with number 4? Let us know in the comments below, whether you're watching live or the replay. I can't afford it. It's too expensive. Now, maybe you've dealt with this as the potential buyer, and maybe you've dealt with this as the seller, or both, right? I've dealt with it on both levels. And the truth is that when I didn't have enough money for the investment, I had to really commit to doing the work and making it worth it, right? And improving my life, improving my business somehow. And this is honestly for personal development expenses, right? Like personal training, gym, therapy, you know, conferences, whatever. And this is for business development for me as well, coaching, admin assistance, program software, things like that, right? And here's the deal. When you are struggling with your money mindset and struggling with what you can afford or feeling like you can't afford things, it's very easy to make assumptions and to get stuck in, to project your money story on the potential customer. And that is harmful. That is not fair. You have to keep your money stuff out of this conversation, right? Who's brought their money stuff into sales conversations? That used to be my biggest struggle. And I would even, a lot of times I brought it into conversations too, and still do sometimes, because I made a lot of assumptions about their ability to invest. Because on my form, on my questionnaire, it says, are you ready to invest, right? Are you able to invest, right? And my prices are out there right now. I've tried it both ways. My prices are out there right now. And people say, yes, people write their income online. And I'm like, sometimes their income's low, sometimes it's high, right? And truthfully, even high incomes can be low if they have a ton of expenses. So, once again, it's easy for me to make assumptions. If I see, I've had people put $500 on that form, $500 a month, right? And it's easy for me to then take that and go into the call and be like, they're not going to invest. This isn't a great call. And that's not fair. That's not fair. And it's harmful because you just don't know. Some people have savings even if they're making a low amount. Some people have a partner that's supporting that decision and a 2-income household. And a lot of business owners here, I can't afford it, and end the conversation there. They don't dive into it, right? You need to know, would they do it if it wasn't for the money? A lot of times, once again, money is there somewhere. I don't get into where the money is. I'm going to be quite honest. A lot of sales experts will say, find out where there's money, find out if they have retirement. That's where it gets pushy and salesy and scammy to me. I don't want to make the decision of where they're going to find that money to invest, right? I need to stay focused. That would distract me. That would stress me out. That's not my business, right? But what I do need to stay focused on is how am I going to help them get the benefits of the investment that they're making, right? But you do need to know, once again, what would they do if it wasn't for the money? Would they sign on with you? They're like, no, I'm still not sure if this would solve my problem. Then you need to do a little bit more work on that, right? Explore how much money it's costing them to have this problem. Once again, I've had clients who were making $500 a month for a year. And then within months of working with me, they're up to $4,000, right? Now, I'm not taking credit for that. They're doing the work to make that happen, but they didn't know how to do it. They didn't have the accountability. They weren't following through on their own. I literally had a client last year who went from like $3,000, which sounds good, but truthfully, most of it was expenses for rent and her team and stuff like that. She was at $25,000 by the end of the 4 months together. And now she's over $30,000, right? She's on track to, she basically doubled her business, tripled her business income last year. By the end of the year, we didn't start working till the end of the year. So she only had 4 months to really pull it together, which she did. And now she's on track to go from, over $100,000 to over $300,000 this year, triple it, right? And she did not have the money. She didn't have the money, right? And I understood that. And, she got scared. She almost backed out. Like she backed out temporarily. She did back out temporarily. But I just held a space for her to talk about her fears, talk about how it could help her. And it's paid off in a huge way. And this is the same for many of my clients, whether they start out with $500 or whether they start out with $20,000 a month. I have a full range of clients that are anywhere from less than $12,000 a year to they're in the mid 6 figures. So they're at like $500,000, $600,000, but they need they need to be more profitable. They want to be more profitable, and you deserve to go for that, right? So another thing is to present case studies about someone else who was in a similar place and how their life has changed despite that, right? And I'm very lucky. My clients are extremely generous with their time. They're extremely generous with their time. And, I think that they actually, a lot of my clients are very generous in terms of hopping on phone calls and emailing with people who have questions about what it's like to work with me when that fear is there about the investment. So once again, explore how much money this problem is still costing them, present case studies about people who've been in a similar place. Really think about, really make sure that you're clear on how your service will be able to help them, right? And once again, yes, there are probably people who don't have the money, and it's not your job to force those people, but it is your job to just go through thoroughly and make sure they understand it and assess that, right? And once again, I've been in that place too, where I was saying no money, but I made the leap anyways. It felt like I had no money, but when I really looked at it, when I moved finances around, when I prioritized, my health, my mental health, my business health, whatever, there was a payoff there, right? So, this is really one to go into. If you have any questions about this, if you've gotten stuck with any other objections or you still don't feel confident, drop your questions and comments below and I'll come back to them. But I wanted to just also offer you guys an opportunity to get on a sales strategy call. If we've never talked before, book yours at NicoleLeloy.com/consult. We're going to go into whether, objections are holding you back, if there's another leak in your sales system, how you can get more leads. We're going to cover all of that on these calls. So grab them when you get the chance. And of course, if at any time, if you guys have ideas that you'd like me to cover topics in these workshops, just send them to support@NicoleLeloy.com. And I will try to work them in. I'll love to work them in for you. But in the meantime, once again, book your free sales strategy call. I offered these 2 weeks ago. They all went. Grab one quickly, NicoleLeloy.com/consult. All right, everyone, have a great day. I'm excited to hear how you guys start to overcome your objections and how this helps you create consistent income growth.